Horford with the offensive rebound. And it's starting to feel like this one is really over now.
Yeah, Doc was trying to get them to foul.
Tatum with the three. That one falls. 16 points in the fourth quarter.
How you feel? How you feel right now? That's what I'm talking about! Let's go.
All I can say is wow. Wow. So Game 5 was one of the worst games that I've ever watched, and probably most Celtics fans agree with me. With the chance to go up 3-2 at home, dictate the series, get the opportunity the next game to close out the Sixers, the Celtics came out and played their worst game of the season. Every single player. The crowd wasn't into it. They were silent. They were bad. The team was bad, and the Celtics got blown out by the Philadelphia 76ers. And I, like probably every single Celtics fan, was ticked off, throwing pillows, swearing, just absolutely livid. Because this is not how it was supposed to go. And now it was Game 6 in Philadelphia. And I had to go. I had to go to this game. Whether it was the end of the season, some closure, and quite possibly an end of an era, or the Celtics extended to Game 7, and I'm in pure bliss. It honestly felt like a win-win. So I convinced my buddy to go with me, and we drove down, and it was just an incredible night. So for starters, probably the easiest in of any sports arena I have ever been to, Philadelphia. So shout out them for that. The easiest parking I've ever seen, and the easiest entering to an arena that I've ever seen. And that one's not even close. It was literally like 5 minutes. And granted, in those 5 minutes, I probably got like 10 comments thrown at me as a Celtic fan among like 99.9% of Sixer fans. But 5 minutes, that's insane. For Game 6 at home, with the chance to go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the, first time since 2001, that crowd, they were packed. They did not disappoint. That is the loudest crowd that I have ever seen in any game of any sport that I've gone to. The starting lineups, the boos were loud, especially for Al Horford, because Philly hates Al Horford. He's like the Pablo Sandoval to the Red Sox, a guy that was overpaid and accomplished nothing. So that booing was loud. And then the Sixers coming out of the tunnel with fire. It was a spectacle. The fans were waving their towels, and I was just sitting in my seat knowing this was going to be just an insane 48 minutes. And so let's get to the game. So the Celtics started off fantastic. They took the crowd out of it immediately. They went up as much as 16 points. And then Jason Tatum said, nah, let's make it more interesting. Because Jason Tatum had probably the worst half of his career. He finished the first half 0 for 11 from the field with 1 point. And yeah, everybody can say, well, he affected the game elsewhere with, he had 7 rebounds and 6 assists at the half. Some great defense on Tobias Harris. But no, come on. Let's get real here. We can't be Tatum apologists. He was horrendous. And so the Celtics went up with at the half, they were up 7. But to me, sitting in my seat, the vibes felt like we were down 7. The Philly crowd was sort of just loud, and they knew, because they came back. They went on a run to close out the half. And so the third quarter just went terribly. A lot of turnovers, and Tatum wasn't even close. And the funny thing is, I was sort of watching Tatum, once they came out of the locker room, taking a 3 from the same spot, and he probably made, uncontested, every other one. That's about as bad as I've watched like anybody shoot the ball, like centers included. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, is this mental? Like, I couldn't believe it, because the third quarter came and he still couldn't make a shot. and he was costing them this game. And so by the time it got to the fourth quarter, Philly was in control. Philly got up as much as 5 points, and this loud crowd, it was just insane. Like, I couldn't believe it. I had to respect it. You know, they're throwing comments at me because it was looking like Philadelphia was going to win. They were going to move on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Celtics were going home. That's really how it felt like. And then, quite possibly, the biggest 180 I have ever seen in sports, let alone basketball, let alone the Celtics, and let alone Jason Tatum. So Jason Tatum was on his way to having probably one of the worst summers ever. The criticism was going to be loud. He was about to cost the Celtics the season single-handedly, I'd argue. Because a lot of the other players, they played fine, albeit the turnovers. But every single talk show was going to be blasting Jason Tatum. A choker, not clutch. Felger and Maz was going to skip in Shannon, first take, you name it. It was going to be a rough summer for the Celtics, a rough summer for Jason Tatum, and all of these very toxic scenarios of Tatum's getting traded, Brown's getting traded, blow up the core. And Tatum said no. He heard it somehow, because he had probably one of the greatest 4-minute stretches I've ever seen. He hit 3 threes in a row to get the Celtics the win. 4 total. His first 3 was this incredible corner 3, a step back over Joel Embiid, the MVP, and he saved the season after ruining the season. Like, I couldn't believe it. And the arena was silent. Around the minute and a half mark, when the Celtics were up 8, they were flooding the exits. And I couldn't believe it. And then Tatum hit the dagger, his 4th 3, and the Celtics won. The Celtics staved off elimination, and Jason Tatum saved his own legacy. Because that choker label was going to be very, very loud. And that's a hard thing to get rid of. And he saved himself and the team. Because now there's Game 7 back in Boston. And who the hell knows what's going to happen? It is a coin flip. The Celtics are objectively bad at home. So I don't even know if home court means that much. Like, how is the team going to play? So the X factor for the Celtics is obviously Jason Tatum's first quarter. Because the last 3 have been liquid garbage. So is Jason Tatum going to come out aggressive, attacking? Is he going to make his shots? Because he was missing a lot of layups. So that's the X factor for the Celtics. That first quarter, that first half. Much like last year in the Game 7 against the Bucks, they got to set the tone fast. And they got to protect the ball. They had 19 turnovers in this game. 19. That is about 10 too many. It was the guards, it was just ugly. Going to the hole and you just see it get stripped and you're like, what is going on? So they got to protect the ball, and Jason Tatum's got to be a superstar. He's got to be the guy that finished 4th in MVP. So for the 76ers, the X factor is James Harden. Because James Harden has had 3 beautiful throwback to MVP Harden type games. And the Sixers have won all 3 of them. And James Harden has had 3 stinkers, head scratchers, disappearing acts like a magician. And the Celtics won those 3 games. So Harden's the metric. Which James Harden's going to show up? Who knows? I can tell you, I think it's going to be the good one. So will the Celtics actually close? So in my prior video, I said Celtics in 7. I'm sticking with it. But it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be like a lot of Celtic games this year. Stress, screaming, highs, lows, just pacing, it's going to be an experience. Sunday is going to be 48 minutes of intensity. You have the two best teams in the Eastern Conference going at it. You know, Philly has probably the best starting five in the league. Boston has probably the most depth. It's going to be a battle. I think the Celtics pull it out, but who knows? I have no idea. It's going to be legendary. The Celtics got to step up and get back to the Eastern Conference Finals and keep it rolling. And shout out Marcus Smart. Probably the best game he's ever had. He kept him in it. So in all, incredible night for me. A top 3 sporting event I've ever been to in my entire life. From beginning to end. Just absolutely incredible. So let's go Celtics.